जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Thank you for joining. Today we are discussing verse number 21 of chapter number 2 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And earlier we saw that in verse number 7, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna. He says that Sishyasteham sadhimam tam prapannam. And then Lord Shri Krishna takes the role of spiritual master and then start instructing Arjuna on the knowledge of soul, or it is called as Jnana Yoga. And in that journey from verse number 11 onwards till verse number 20, we saw that Lord Shri Krishna has explained so many wonderful and astonishing characteristics of the spirit soul. And in the previous verse, verse number 20, Krishna is saying that the soul neither takes birth nor dies at any time. And then Krishna also says that the soul has not come into being, it does not come into being and will not come into being. Similarly, Krishna continues further and says he is unborn, eternal, ever existing and primeval, and he is not slain when the body is slain. So the body goes through 6 kinds of transformation, and we discussed this point in details. But the soul doesn't go through any kind of transformation. The soul is eternal in nature. So Krishna continues to talk about the soul in this particular verse. So let's see the verse 2.21. So let's recite the verse. Veda avinashinam nityam yam enam ajan avyayam katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayanti hantikam. O Partha, the translation is, O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So here Krishna is talking to Arjuna and is calling Arjuna as Partha. So Partha means son of Pritha. Pritha is another name of Kunti Devi. So he is addressing Arjuna as Partha and is saying, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible? So where is that word coming? So indestructible is avinashinam. So avinashinam is Veda, means to know. Somebody who knows that the soul is avinashinam, the soul is nityam. Nityam means always existing. And he also knows that the soul is ajam. The soul doesn't take birth, it's unborn. And avyayam, immutable. So somebody who knows all these things, how does that person who knows all these things can kill anyone, means kill any soul or cause anyone to kill him? So this is a kind of question asked. So this kind of words are called as rhetorical, or this kind of questions are called as statements, actually are called as rhetorical questions. So the rhetorical questions means, this is the word rhetorical questions. So rhetorical questions means the answer is implied. The question itself, for example, we can say, what is the use of crying when things have already gone wrong? So when things have already gone wrong, that means there is no use of crying. So this kind of rhetorical questions are used to emphatically drive home a point. So here Krishna is bringing up a point to Arjuna that somebody who knows about the soul, that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable, he knows for sure that he is not killing or is not causing anyone to kill. So this is a point actually Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna emphatically over here. In chapter 1, we saw that Arjuna is saying to Krishna, Oh Janardana, you are the maintainer of people. Janardana means maintainer of people. So how come you are actually forcing me to kill? That was a question actually, if you remember, that is asked in chapter number 1. So in this verse, Krishna is giving a very befitting reply to Arjuna, and that a learned man who knows or who has a proper understanding of the soul. So what is the proper understanding of the soul? So these are the points which is described by Krishna, all the verses which we have gone through, in verse number 12 to say up to 20 onwards. So these were the points discussed about the soul. So somebody who knows this, that the soul, he knows for sure that the soul cannot kill anyone or cause anyone to kill. So this is the point actually. Krishna is replying to Arjuna's question, that he is not going to kill. Arjuna, even if he is fighting, he is not going to kill his relatives, because his relatives are eternal soul. So Srila Prabhupada, brings up a very important point about, and he's talking about actually violence in his purport. In fact, the entire purport is dedicated to this particular point, that knowing that we are not this body and we are the soul, and nobody can kill the soul. So if somebody knows that the soul, cannot be killed, so should he perform violence, unnecessarily? So that's the point actually Srila Prabhupada is addressing in the purport. So Prabhupada is saying everything has proper utility, including violence. He's saying everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. So a person in knowledge knows how to use, when to use violence. That doesn't justify, if we know that the soul cannot be killed, that doesn't justify that people can start going and killing others. So this is the whole point that has been discussed and put in this presentation, saying that does the immortality of the soul recommends violence? And answer is no, it doesn't recommend violence at all. People can't just act whimsically, that knowing that the soul cannot be killed, so they cannot start acting whimsically and start killing others. That is not what is meant in this particular case. Arjuna is saying, and that is explained, Srila Prabhupada is explaining over here, that violence must be only used by a person who is in knowledge. Without knowledge, if somebody tries to use violence, he is going to cause destruction for the others and for himself. So that is the next point, that is capital punishment. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed. So if person murders another person, then the justice says that person is to be given a capital punishment. So we cannot blame the justice system in that, because the orders of violence to another person according to the codes of justice. Right? So the codes of justice only doesn't allow anybody to perform violence unnecessarily. In Manu Samhita, the law book or for mankind, it is supported that the murderer should be condemned to death. So this is according to the Manu Samhita, that if somebody murders somebody, then that person who is killing should be given a death sentence, that is a capital punishment. Why so? So that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sins he has committed. That is the reason. So if somebody is killing, then according to the law of karma, that person needs to be killed by others. So if he is given that capital punishment, then that karma is burned in this life. Therefore, the king's punishment for hanging a murderer is actually beneficial for the person, because that punishment he is suffering, he can suffer what he has done for the karma in this life itself. Next point is how to justify Arjuna's use of violence. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice, and thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not a violence at all, because at any rate the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So for the administration of justice, so-called violence is permitted. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight for dharma. And when Arjuna is acting under Krishna's instruction, then Arjuna doesn't incur karma, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he wants to re-establish dharma. And in order to do this, Arjuna will have to eliminate all the Kauravas who are all evil-minded and causing difficulties to the people in general. So to re-establish dharma, Arjuna will have to fight, and when he fights, there is no karma on Arjuna's part. Analogy is given. A surgical operation is not meant to kill a patient but to cure him. So when a doctor performs a surgery, it apparently looks like that he's cutting stomach of somebody or any other part, and then he's removing some organs, or he's doing something which is causing a lot of blood to flow. But at the same time, if you see some other person who trying to murder somebody, he also using knife to cut other person's stomach. Now both these situations are different. In one case, the doctor is using the knife to cut the patient and cure him, whereas the other person who is a murderer, who is trying to kill other person, he's trying to take revenge. So for that he will be punished. But for the doctor's work of even cutting and taking out all the organs and replacing it back, or whatever he is doing to perform the operation, he is awarded, because he is helping the other patient to cure. So this is the analogy given. So the knife is not bad. The surgical operations, the knife which has been used in the surgical operation is not bad. How do you use the knife? It depends on that. So person with knowledge who uses it properly, then it is not a violence. It is for helping the other person. So here, fighting to establish dharma causes no sinful reaction. So Arjuna is going to fight this war and he is going to kill. So is it going to cause reaction? So that's what is addressed over here by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna with full knowledge. So there is no possibility of sinful reaction, because he is acting under Krishna's direction. He is not acting whimsically, and he is trying to protect dharma. So in this case, Arjuna will not incur any sinful reaction. Just as we see that when the soldiers are ordered by the country to go and kill people of the opposite side, when they do that, they are awarded. They are given gallantry awards and different kinds of award, because they are acting under the direction of the government. They are not acting whimsically. So similarly over here, Arjuna is going to act under the instruction of Krishna with full knowledge. So when he is acting under the instruction of Krishna with knowledge, then that doesn't bring sinful reaction. So this is a point. So all the points from various other verses are compiled here into this one discussion, which talks about, does the immortality of the soul recommends violence? And answer is no. So these are the points, and you can go over those points to understand what we have discussed in this purport. Okay. So with this, we'll stop here and we'll continue with a very nice verse, how soul changes body, because Arjuna might think that that okay, I know that the soul do not die. Still, the body of the men called Bhishma and all the others is going to be destroyed in the battlefield, and that is wrong, because it will be improperly depriving them from their happiness that they were supposed to derive from their bodies. So therefore, actually Krishna is going to explain the fault of this particular logic in his next verse. So it's a very interesting verse. So we'll continue the discussion of the next verse in the next session. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.